Okay. Glad I didn't remember that halfway through and I have to start all over.
No,
So reminder that next week we're going to try on our jeans again. We're also going to be remeasuring. So don't try them on today. I know, Noelle, you were asking if we were supposed to do it every week. No, I feel like that's kind of a lot. And I want to give you guys time, give your body time to see some change. So we'll do it again next week, which is the halfway point, and then we'll do it again at the very end. So I don't encourage you to do measurements every week, just because that might end up being a little frustrating. So give it one more week, keep those jeans hidden away. And then next week, I'll let you know exactly when and what we'll be doing for that. So you have the rest of this week and then the beginning half of next week. So if things are not feeling dialed in, like this is the time to do so. So after next week, we'll be able to see kind of where you're at and see who's on track and who's not. And then we can, talk about what we need to do for those individuals. But that's going to be our halfway point. So you can kind of make sure that if you're not on track, we can get on track. And it's my job as your coach to keep you accountable because I want you guys to see results at the end of this. So it's not like, you're bad or anything like that. I'm doing it because I'm here to hold you accountable and make sure that you get the results that you said you wanted at the beginning of this challenge. So that's why we're doing that check-in. So that's all I really wanted to say. You guys are doing such a good job of tracking in your nutrition journals, doing a great job turning them in and doing that reflection. Like that's really cool to see you guys sharing like what's going really well for you. And some of you are focusing on just eating breakfast and eating those meals, which is awesome. You guys are doing so well at that. Some of you are focusing on getting more protein in so you feel more satiated and feel full for longer and maybe not craving junk foods as much as you would before. Some of you are focusing on just drinking more water, focusing on staying hydrated. Some of you are focusing on drinking less or no alcohol, and that's going really well. So it's just cool to see you guys just in the short 2-week span sharing your wins and that you guys are taking action and seeing some results there. So keep doing that. You're doing an awesome job. And I just really enjoy you being so honest with yourself and with me and how you're doing. So with that said, I can kind of just open it up and we can talk about how it's going for you. And if you guys are struggling with anything, or if you have any questions, we can open it up to the floor. So does anyone right off the bat just want to hop in with any questions? Noelle, don't think too hard. How's everything going with the workouts? Any questions on the workouts?
No, are we? Because I think I only have like 3 left, maybe like 4. But is that going to be? Are they going to get refreshed? Like the Metcons, are they going to get refreshed at all, or is that going to be the ones that we have for the entire challenge?
You will have a new phase of the Metcons. So by the time you're done with the current ones, which should be the end of next week, you'll have new ones in there to continue on for the rest of the challenge. Good question. Yeah. Are they staying? Are they feeling like they're staying challenging enough? Are you feeling like you can push yourself?
No, they're always definitely challenging. And this is not against you, but I get bored with doing anything maybe more than once or twice. So I'm like constantly trying and make it some kind of a variety if I can.
That's a good point. Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
What I've been doing, because you have the 3 options, at least for these Metcons, you have 3 options for each of the exercises, right? 2 to 3 is mix those up. So if maybe one time you're doing the med ball front throw, the next time you're doing chops, kettlebell or dumbbell chops, maybe just within that you have a little bit of variety just to play around with it. And then also know that it's just till next week, and then you'll have fresh new ones.
So how does that work? You still check it off what's there? You just do something different?
Yeah, Kathleen, have you noticed in your workouts too, your main challenge program and then in the Metcons that there are multiple options for each of the exercises?
Oh, like A and B, or is that what you mean? Or
No, let me actually, I'll share my screen. I'll show you. Hold, please. I'm going to share my phone screen with you. Okay. So in every single one of the exercises, you have multiple options. So up in the top right corner where it says cues, you will have at least one other option. In your primary program, the strength workouts, you have 2 for every single one. So in the metabolic ones, there's at least 2. Some of them have a third one. And that's to give you the option. If you're working on at home, maybe you only have a set of dumbbells, like minimal equipment, you might not have a medicine ball. It gives you another option. Or in like Noelle's case, just to add a little bit of variety in, so you can kind of mix it up.
right.
And then within that, not only have I listed out, okay, you have option 2, maybe an option 3 is there. I've also put videos in for each one.
Oh, okay.
So you have a separate video. Sorry for the sound. You have a separate video for every exercise, showing each of the different ones. Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
So keep an eye out for that. Look in the cues section, and then the videos, we'll have one for each one.
And then does the regular program have something like that?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Every single one of the exercises will have in that one, at least 2, almost every single one of them has a third option. So when in doubt, use the default, which is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the second and the third option. Usually it's set up, the second option is kind of like a either a more body weight option or less equipment option. And then option 3 would be like a progression. Maybe it's a little bit more complex. Yeah.
Okay.
So for you, Kathleen, if you're feeling like you want to challenge yourself this week, maybe look for that third option.
Okay.
Try that out. Yeah.
And why is it's supposed to take 45 minutes, but it's like taking more like 70 to 80, even though I feel like I'm moving through it a lot.
I've been doing them myself just to make sure. When I tested them before we put them out, I made sure that it was within the time frame, and I've been doing them myself, and I've been able to complete them in about 50 to 55 minutes. Okay. So what I might suggest is to set a timer for yourself. So, you know, the first time you go through, it might take a little longer just because you're getting used to the exercises and maybe watching the videos. But what I might suggest is to set yourself a timer for about 10 to 15 minutes. So it should take you less than 10 minutes to get through the ramp. So maybe set a timer for 10 minutes. And if you haven't finished it in 10 minutes, it's time to move on. But after about 15 minutes, you should be done with the ramp and the core.
Wow. Okay.
Sections. Are you finding that it's taking longer than that?
I think so.
Sometimes I spend a little bit longer on the ramp just because it feels good. Feels nice to do some extra stretching.
Yeah, and I just, you know, all the like 30, okay, Alexa, set timer for 30 seconds, do it. And then, okay, rest for 30 seconds, you know, and so, you know, I'm doing that, you know, so, and maybe it's just my time transitioning. I'm probably slower than you are at my age of getting up and down and all that stuff, so. Yeah.
Can I ask, is it for the metabolic workouts or for the strength workouts?
Both just take longer, so I'll work on that. Those are some good clues. And it's just setting intention too, and just moving faster. Yeah, and then I don't know, just getting used to exercises where maybe I don't have to push the thing to look at it every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting more comfortable with them. Mm-hmm. And what I might suggest in that case for the metabolics is maybe using an interval timer, Kathleen, so that extra time transitioning in between and then telling Siri to set another timer for 30 seconds. maybe that's an area that is taking, it's actually more like 40 or 60 seconds. Is that
Yeah,
kind of
well,
what
yeah,
might be
and then
happening?
I kind of add that in, like if it's 30, maybe I'll say 20 seconds because
Maybe.
and then
Okay.
also while I'm doing that, I'm looking at what's next and
Yeah.
speed it up a bit. I think I'm working on speeding it up, but I was wondering why is it taking me like twice as long as it should? Almost.
Yeah, and keep me updated if it still feels like it's taking a really long time. Another thing that I might suggest is kind of like, and I think we all kind of find this, like Noelle, I know you and I kind of talk about this, is like you still have to go check, even if it's the metabolic, you're like, okay, what's next? But if we set up everything first, at least the equipment and everything is kind of laid out.
Yeah.
And then even if you just need to, like, during that 30-second rest, do a quick check, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Saves you a little time. And then you have the 3-minute rest periods in between sections. And that's a perfect time to set up for the next circuit. And that could hopefully cut down. Because I think when we did it, Noelle, in person, it took us less than an hour to do that first one. And that was with like demo time and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speedy. Okay.
So yeah, it is kind of like, okay, I only have 60 minutes. I need to get this done. You kind of like put some pressure on yourself to, I'm gonna get this done. But hopefully that helps, just setting a timer and giving yourself cutoff times. And then just keep me updated, because I understand, like, especially for you, Kathleen, you're doing it late at night. I don't want you feeling like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour and a half. I'm still working out.
Yeah, I think that'll work. I was just wondering. Yeah, that's good. Those are good, helpful.
Okay. Noelle, did that help with adding variety in, or make you feel good that you're not going to be doing this for the next 6 weeks straight? Same thing.
No, yeah.
I'm glad you asked that, because I was wanting a little bit more variety.
Yes, so you'll get some new ones in there. Any other questions about the workouts?
If you don't have like a medicine ball, or we've been like just doing like throwing air, or using our a dumbbell or the foam roller or something, just like just like, is that all right? Just doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That absolutely works. And I always want to like suggest that, like, you can always mimic the movements with air, with something light, but I hesitate to like, like say do that, because I don't want anyone like throwing stuff against their wall that shouldn't be thrown against the wall.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like absolutely be creative. There's a lot of stuff we can do with very little in the house, and you still feel like you get that little bit of cardio effect, metabolic effect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's great. I like that. How about on the nutrition side? How are we feeling with all the guidelines, with tracking? How's everything going?
I'm panicked, Grace.
Okay. Tell me more.
I feel like 2 weeks has really flown by, and another 2 weeks is going to fly by. And I don't think that any progress has been made so far. And I'm a little worried that in 2 more weeks, I'm just going to be in the same spot. I know you're supposed to give your body at least 3 weeks to really start seeing, but it's already Tuesday here. And I don't know. I know I was just on vacation and I didn't abide by all the rules 100%, but I still am aiming for the 80 to 85% rule these first couple of weeks. And this week I'll definitely hone in on all the little things. But yeah, I'm just panicked. I'm like, no way am I going to have any results in 2 weeks. My measurements are not going to change in 2 more weeks. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's actually a really normal reaction during this challenge. And I've done it a few times, and I've also seen some of my colleagues do this challenge many more times. And everyone always says that they're not sure they're going to see any change. But I've seen your nutrition journal, Taylor. I've seen your check boxes. And if you are staying within that, 80, 90% compliance, when you put those jeans on next week, I think you're going to be happy. You're going to see some progress. But
Okay.
it's very normal to feel exactly like what you're saying, where you're like, it's been too short of a time. I can't see my body changing in the mirror. So it's totally normal, but stay on track, trust the process.
I'm
When
also
you feel
fighting
things on
myself
next
to
week, then we can
step on
talk.
that scale.
Say it again.
I said I'm fighting myself to step on the scale. Like, it's there. I know it's there, and I so badly want to see if there's a number to be put with what I've already done. But I'm like fighting myself not to touch it. I want to touch it. I want to see if there's something to validate all the work that I've put in already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally normal again.
Okay. Thanks.
And I'll stop talking. No, I understand that feeling. I encourage you to lock that scale away, because what is it going to feel like if you got on the scale? Like, let's say you got on the scale next week and you didn't see the weight change, but you fit into your jeans differently. Like, how are you going to feel then? It's going to feel really like conflicting. I want you to stay in like the positive mind frame, because your body is changing, even though the scale is not going to dictate what's changing, right? Yeah.
Because the muscles, like you say, can weigh way more now. Yeah. And that's good.
Yes. Do you remember, Taylor, did you watch the nutrition label, the first nutrition lesson last week? And the last example I gave you was for yogurt and how the serving sizes were different. And that is just because of the different composition in the macronutrients.
Right.
One was full fat and one was non-fat.
Mm-hmm.
And so it changed the serving size because the volume changes based on the nutrients. The fat content is going to make it a little bit more expansive. For the same amount of weight, it takes up more space. So that's exactly what happens in our body, is our fat content is going to take up more space than our muscle, but the weight is exactly the same. So that's why I know you know all this, but I'm just reiterating it.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the fat versus muscle math.
Yeah.
I guess you could call it physics. I don't know. I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, there's nothing has changed in 2 weeks. I saw that maybe some swelling has gone down in my face, but I'm also fighting my own health issues right now. So it's kind of just one day I'll be feeling really good. And then the next day I wake up looking how I look right now, with red and swollen and itchy all over. So
yeah. And unfortunately, we have no control over that.
so I'm trying to feel confident that all my efforts are going to pay off, but my body is so unknown versus what it used to feel like. So I'm just not confident right now. But I think that's a me issue. That's not a program issue.
And I think, I will say this, I'm going to say maybe two things. Is one, like, we can't control stuff like that. Like, we can only control certain things. So, it's normal to worry, and I don't want to discount your worry, but, we can't control those things. We can only focus on following the plan, and you're doing an awesome job. So, like, keep going.
Okay.
And then we can talk next week after you put on your jeans, and then we can see where we're at. And then the other thing I really want to say, because I know this came up with one of the challenge participants, is that this challenge is not intended to make you feel bad about your body. And I hope you guys know that. Like, this challenge, I don't want anyone to do this challenge who, is going to end up taking away that they need to lose weight. They need to look skinnier. They need, I want you guys to do this for your own reasons and your own goals for yourself. But in no way do I want you guys to think that I am forcing you to have to take these pictures for me or for, you know, the way we want you to look or anything like that. I hope that you guys are doing this for your own reasons. And if you feel like this is not good for your mental health, that you would come and talk to me, and I'm happy to give you guys some resources for that. But yeah, I just want to say that this challenge, I want you guys to do it for you and not because I was forcing you to do any of this. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it's for health.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Taylor, because I'm sure you're not the only one that feels like that. Like, this is a really fast challenge. It's only 9 weeks. How can we see change in 4 weeks? But it's really normal, and you guys are all doing a really good job of staying on track. So trust the process for a week and a half more, and then we'll see. Yeah. Any other nutrition questions, concerns? Just want to do a download and just let me know how you're feeling.
I have a couple.
So I don't eat.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, like kind of delays on my end.
No, just you know, I've always been more, I feel like full fat yogurt and cottage cheese is more nutritious, ingredient wise. And so I just eat like less of that, but I'm really kind of a believer in eating whole. Is that all right? Or should I let go of that and follow the program better? Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I think I put in the program, at least somewhere in the nutrition guidelines, that we shouldn't be afraid to eat fat. Like, that's really not a concern. If you're prioritizing eating protein at every meal, like, you should feel like you're filling up enough that you're not having to overindulge on other stuff.
Yeah.
So the fat kind of takes care of itself. The carbohydrate kind of takes care of itself if we're controlling for protein and then just how much you're eating overall throughout the day. So I feel the exact same way that you do, Kathleen, where I don't shy away from full fat things, especially when I turn around the ingredient list and I start looking at it.
Yeah.
So in some situations where there's a full fat and a non-fat item, you can see that when they're taking away fat, they have to put other stuff in to make it taste appealing again, or make it feel like it's the same. And this is not all cases, but in most cases, the non-fat one is way more processed, right? And then in that case, I highly encourage like the full fat, more whole option. The more like,
I'll just eat, you're more satisfied with a couple tablespoons of full fat yogurt, and you don't have to eat just like a whole tub of the fat. So
absolutely,
we're okay with that. And then I know too much bread, I think, or too much of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to work on that. And I'm usually pretty gluten-free, but I've been noticing, keeping track, like, oh yeah, it's sneaking in there. Egg products are sneaking in there. So yeah. So anyway, I'm going to work on that. So.
And that is another part of this challenge, is like, the tracking part isn't to make you feel bad about anything you're eating. It's to make you think and question. Question like, oh, like, I didn't realize I was eating so much of this. Or, you know, why am I eating this over this? Like, why am I eating non-fat just because I've been told to eat non-fat? Maybe that's not a better option for me. And in fact, we need fat in our diet to balance our hormones, to create hormones in our body that we need to regulate healthy body weight. So yeah, I think that it's sad that we've gone that route where everything has to be like non-fat. That's considered better, when in most cases it's not necessarily. Yeah. And I know, like, I'm trying to think of a really good example. Like, for me, yogurt is a really good example, but you have to kind of like pick and choose how you're looking at it, because obviously there's non-fat Greek yogurt, which is a great protein source, and it's non-fat because it's been strained and that, but it's still super clean. Like, the ingredient list is like 3 things, super easy. And then you have like, go ahead.
No, maybe I'll try that, because I always get plain Greek yogurt, but I always get the whole
fat. And then there are some examples of that where it's like, yeah, that's so good and it's so filling. And so I would just say, like, be discerning and kind of flip the label around and see what's happening underneath it, because there's good options on both sides of that too.
Yeah.
Good. Good question. Yeah, I don't shy away from fat. I just, you just try and keep it limited and prioritize the protein first, and the fat kind of takes care of itself. Yeah. How about you, Noelle? What were you gonna say?
Really not a question, but I was trying, so I don't really eat anything after dinner. I usually kind of get home kind of late, but so we're eating anywhere between like 6:30 and 8:30, depending on when I get home. So like that last snack, like almost never happens. So I was trying to calculate
the
how
sixth
many.
meal.
Yeah, I was trying to calculate how many like X's I would be allowed if I took away that last, and it took me a long time. So I kind of just gave up and see if you knew.
I did notice that, and I noticed that in a lot of your charts. And actually, today in Japan, you got your second nutrition lesson. Tomorrow in the States, Kathleen, you'll see yours in the app. And I talk about that, about kind of like skipping meals. But I'm really glad you brought this one up, Noelle, because that sixth meal is on the chart, but I'm a little bit more flexible, and I guess I should be a little bit more explicit about it. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. The sixth meal is on there more for people who maybe are working out the next morning, like early the next morning, and they need that little snack before they go to bed. For some people, like for men, they need a little bit more calories than women do. So sometimes that sixth meal can come in for males who are, feeling like they need to eat a little bit more. However, I don't personally count the sixth meal as an X.
Okay.
I shoot, and I kind of like told you guys to eat between 4 to 5 smaller meals. The sixth one would be like an as needed. Okay. So if you're hitting the 4 to 5 smaller meals a day, that's good.
Okay.
And then
so that still equals out to like 10 X's, like max 10 X's to at least get the 80%.
Yeah, for the 4 to 5 meals.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then on your workout days, so I should see roughly 4 protein shakes or protein bars or something, because we're doing 4 workouts a week, right? So we wouldn't count an X on all 7 days. It would just be on the workout days. Does that make sense? Kind of. Where's my thing? So let's see. So if I don't eat a post-workout meal, if I'm not going to work out early in the next morning, and I don't need that 6th snack after dinner, then mine might start to look a little bit like this. So maybe I don't have that 6th meal. Maybe I just go ahead and I take that off. I'm okay if you take that off, as long as I'm getting like the 4 to 5 suggested smaller meals, we're good. Okay. And then I should see 4 spots either with a check mark or an X, or a post-workout nutrition.
Yeah.
So
sometimes that might, go ahead.
Sorry, can we use snack or meal number 6 as our post-workout option? Like in the tracker itself, not on the reflection. I've been using snack 3 as my post-workout tracker. Okay.
Because yours usually come in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up. You were reading my mind. Sometimes it might overlap with your mid-afternoon snack, right? Sometimes your post-workout nutrition might overlap with your snack, right? So Taylor and I were talking about this last week, where I would suggest kind of thinking about every day as being the same for your nutrition. The only thing that's going to change is on the days that you work out, you have some extra protein for your post-workout. So try and treat every day as exactly the same. Nothing has to change. That kind of helps to keep everything consistent, easier to think about. And the only thing that's going to change is you get to add on an extra something. So on your journal, you might have in that snack thing that you had a post-workout shake and you had a snack. When you're doing your end of week tracking, you already have that written down, so you can like clearly I can just put an X or a check mark for my post-workout shake because I know I had it that day.
Oh,
Is that helpful? Kind of.
Yes.
I do look at your journal, so I am kind of like looking in a little bit deeper.
the food tracking. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at your food journals and your charts. Does that kind of make sense, Noelle? So you don't have to worry. You don't have to get the 6th meal in. It's there for specific purposes, but I'm sorry I didn't explicitly explain when a 6th meal would be useful.
No, I was just, when I counted up my X's, I would almost guarantee have at least 7 X's just from not eating that last meal for that day, right? And
The
something
6th
like
meal.
Last snack.
Yeah, last snack. Yeah.
So then in reality, your X's are fewer because of that. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I've been looking at your chart, like you're pretty on track.
We'll
You've been
just
doing
wait.
a good job. Yeah, you've been doing a really good job, Noelle. You've been doing a good job tracking, and I know eating breakfast is something kind of like you've been working on. You've been doing a good job of that.
Process.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you notice any changes? And Taylor, you feel free to jump in on this too. Do you guys notice any changes from starting to eat breakfast more consistently with this challenge?
I wake up starving.
Your metabolism's like, feed me.
Yeah.
I'm ready to eat.
Like, hurry up, get some food in this. Yeah, I can't take my medication now with an empty stomach, so I have to eat. It's kind of forcing. I get really nauseated if I don't.
Mhm.
So it kind of like worked out perfect timing to
Yeah.
have this challenge asking you to eat breakfast, and then also helps you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And that's a good motivator to eat breakfast. I'm gonna feel really nauseous if I don't. How about you, Noel? Do you notice any changes?
I've not been eating breakfast for a very, very long time. And it kind of just like, once you get past that I'm absolutely starving point, your body kind of like suppresses it for a little bit until maybe for me, until like 9 o'clock. And then it kind of comes back and it's like, okay, well now I'm at work. I can go buy a snack really quick. And that might hold me over until at least closer to lunchtime. So it's like not waiting until your body gets to that point where you forget that you're supposed to eat, or you like that hunger craving kind of suppresses for a little bit. But even though the hunger suppresses, the symptoms from not eating are still there. So I'm tired and I'm hangry and I probably will get a headache. I almost always get a headache if I don't eat like when I'm supposed to. So it's like I'm noticing that I am eating, or at least trying to like get a protein bar in or something first thing in the morning, but I think we're still in the early stages of creating that permanent routine for that.
Mm-hmm. Those are really good. Did you already watch the nutrition lesson for this week? Well,
No, I tried to click on it and it brings me to like a Google login
thing
screen.
Yeah, I have the wrong card up there, so I put up the correct one last week. It should be good, but tell me if I'm what I'm seeing.
I'll
is
double
different.
check it.
But what you just said is exactly what we're talking about in that lesson. So we're talking about blood sugar and like the different phases of where your blood sugar can be and what happens in your body. And the way you described it was like you already watched the whole thing and you know exactly what I said. Which is basically when you're in that low blood sugar state where like you feel hungry and then it like goes away. What's happening in your body is it's actually just going to start it like you're super low blood sugar. So your body's going to try and fix that. So it will start to use up all the energy that you have stored in your liver and your muscles, which you don't have a lot of. But it will pull from there to create blood sugar to start balancing you out. And it happens more in the morning because that's when your cortisol levels are naturally a little higher, which triggers your body to release blood sugar or sugar into your blood to raise your blood sugar up and give you energy. So if you've waited past that, your body's already balanced out your blood sugar by using your energy stores. And that's why you feel so fatigued. So like you described that perfectly. And then when you eat again, your body's going to prioritize first replenishing that glycogen in your liver and your muscles. But that's also a really taxing process. So then your blood sugar drops really low because that energy is being used to convert that into a storable energy. And so that's when you start to have these peaks and valleys throughout your day that's hard to kind of control.
Yeah.
So that's why eating breakfast first thing in the morning can be really helpful because it gets the blood sugar balanced out and you don't have as many of these peaks and valleys throughout the day. But yeah, you just described that so like perfectly how you feel because of that process.
Yeah. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day I don't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
It's all good.
What have you found that's like an easy option? So you said protein bars. What are other like good easy options that work for you in the morning?
Hot dog. I don't know. Yogurt. We're like on a yogurt ration in Japan right now, like a
Yes, we
dairy
are.
ration.
Fight me for it.
I know. I tried to buy 2 containers of Chobani and they were like, no, you can only get one. I was like, wait,
You
really?
get one.
Because
Wow.
I never eat yogurt. I never ever eat yogurt, but they have these parfaits at work, these little yogurt parfaits that I tend to get in a pinch. So anyway, but yogurt, a little cup of yogurt kind of helps. I really like English muffins. It's kind of a carby choice, but English muffins with like a tiny bit of butter or like whatever you use, your healthy butter. And then I have this like everything bagel seasoning, a little bit on top.
Super yum.
Good.
I'll take that. Yeah, and I know yogurt's kind of hard to get. I found at Lawson's they have the Oikos Greek yogurt. So that when I can't get it at the commissary, I can sneak off base and at least get something to like tide me over until they restock.
Yeah, but usually the protein bar is like not enough. Like it's something in there, especially the little Larry and Larry ones. They're like, I don't know.
I saw those at the store the other day.
3 to 4 inches. Yeah, they're not very big, but they're more like a healthy dessert treat first thing in the morning. Because I don't really like sweets either, so it's like a battle every time. Every morning, it's either, well, are we feeling sweet or savory? It's usually always savory, but if I'm in a pinch, I got to eat the protein bar if I have it.
How do we feel about eggs, Noelle?
Eggs are good. I don't
Face.
prioritize getting up to do it. I don't do it, I would like to. I had eggs this morning, but that is something I need to create like a designated schedule for, because I get up early enough to take the dogs out and then get dressed and do everything else, but we'll see. I've got a recipe for them dangum egg muffin thingies. I just need to get some more vegetables to put in there. Well, I'm out of spinach.
Even Noelle, those I love. That's a great idea because you can do it all ahead. But even if I have nothing else in the house, I'll do that with a jar of salsa. And I have nothing else. At least I have like some veggies going into it and some flavor.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And the reason why I'm not like everyone needs to eat eggs, but I'm just I'm providing that as like a constant reminder. I know if you don't like them, please don't force yourself to eat them. That I don't want you to be miserable while you're doing this. But I encourage eggs because they are such an easy, like readily available protein source. They're extremely absorbable in your body. It's just a complete protein, some good fat, especially if you're getting like the free range stuff. They have some omega-3s. So that's why you hear it from me a lot. And what we do is I do a huge pot of them at the beginning of the week and hard boil or soft boil them at the beginning of the week. And then they're just ready to go and grab for breakfast or for snacks. So yeah, make it easy for yourself. But that's why I push the eggs so much.
I have to dip out.
Please do. And we can kind of wrap up really quickly. Taylor, you can watch this on the replay if you need to. So feel free to hop off if you need. Thank you for showing up. Good luck today. She's at home with the boys and the husband all day.
Oh my.
So if there's nothing else, do you guys have anything else? Otherwise, I can kind of do a quick little recap and wrap things up and set us free.
So,
Nothing.
you know, I was doing intermittent fasting before we started. So I've been kind of like, I guess I have to like stop that. You know, I was doing it. So I mean, I cut down, like I'm doing it once or twice a week because I really like it. And it just really gives my whole body a rest. But on this,
Yeah.
I need to not do it, right? So, yeah.
You know, I'm not forcing anyone to do anything.
Recommend that I follow the program. Okay. I was kind of getting that.
And only as an experiment for you, maybe to try it and see
Yeah.
if you feel different, if you notice different results. You know, again, if you wanted to go back to doing the intermittent fasting afterwards,
Yeah.
absolutely. This might be kind of like, and I kind of put this out there in the messages the other day, like I hate the word diet, but I liked that definition the other day that was changed it. And yeah, and that's kind of what this is. It's like making sure your body has consistent fuel throughout the day and notice how your body feels and then also how it reacts to giving you the results that you kind of want. But again, these are for you to use. This is my recipe that I've given to you. And you can adjust the recipe a little bit. Just try it, you know, try as much as you can not to tweak it too much because I can't predict what the results might be afterwards. I can predict what the results will be with this recipe.
Yeah, I just read that like 10 minutes before after I finished my last client because I'm on a diet and I want to lose 20 pounds. And then so when I was doing his notes, I said my fitness coach just gave me a great reframe name for diet. And so I put that in his notes. I love that. Habitual version.
Yeah, I like that too. I was like, that's really what it is we're creating a habit of giving our body fuel, the right fuel to get us results. So I'm going to start using that more often. With that, I'll go ahead and I'll just do a little in closing. This week is when typically things start to get a little harder. Going into week 3 is almost always for people the time when they start losing steam, when like life starts to creep back in and it starts to get tough. So can you hear the cat screaming in the background? So things might feel a little difficult for you this week. And this is why I had you guys write those why statements in week 1. Why we did at the very beginning when everything was fresh. Do you guys remember those? Noelle, did you have time to write yours down?
I mean, of course I had time, but I didn't because it changes. I feel like it changes every week. But I'll know when it happens. Like I think I know my why, but it's more of like a feeling, like an internal realization of I've accomplished something or I've met my goal. Because like one week I'll be like, well, I don't want to drink so much, and then another week I'm gonna be like, oh well, I don't want to eat like crap. So right now I think it's just having that, being able to feel like I succeeded.
Yeah.
Whether it's I wrote all my food down or I was able to fit in jeans, like having that kind of sense of fulfillment in some way, shape, or form.
I would put that on you. Not that I want to put one on you, but I would say reading your reflections back, that is kind of for you, is like to prove to yourself that you are able to be disciplined, to prove to yourself that you're able to follow through with the commitment that you made for yourself. So each week has changed a little bit, but like when you write down like what's gone really well is like you wrote everything down and you tracked it all, and like just to prove to yourself that you are disciplined enough to do that. I think that's probably what makes you feel really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes taking it week by week can be really helpful. So instead of thinking of this as like this big long challenge, is like, I'm going to give myself this 1 week to focus on this one thing. It's a short-term goal. It's just 7 days. And at the end of the week, you get a win because you did that.
Indeed.
Okay. So maybe today, Noelle, you could kind of put everything you just told me down on paper.
Okay.
And the reason why, and Kathleen, I know you wrote yours down, is because when it gets hard, it's going to be hard for you to remember why you're doing this. It's going to be hard for you to remember, like, why do I care about being disciplined? Why do I care about following through and seeing success? That you can go back to that piece of paper. Say it again, Kathleen.
I want to see your cat's face. Is so cute. Such cute markers.
Screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Screaming.
He's so cute. Sorry, I needed some cat joy.
He's so sweet. So yeah, I want you guys to remember that you have those why statements when things get hard, and I want you to have them ever present so you can pull them out, because it is going to get tough this week. It's going to get tough next week. I want you to have those ready to remind you of why you're doing this, why you decided to do this, why you decided to make this commitment to yourself. Sometimes we start to get outside of ourselves, like, why did I even sign up for this? Grace is making me do all this stuff. And I want you to pull it back to like why you decided to do this, right?
It's a good reminder to look back at that, what I wrote down. Yeah, probably every week. Yeah. And maybe I like Noelle's idea of just like, focusing on one of them, for a week or something. Yeah.
And adapting it as it changes. You probably are learning a lot about yourself going through this challenge. And that might change why you're doing this. So feel free to update as you go. Next week, again, and just as another reminder, we are going to be putting the jeans on. So don't grab them yet. Whoever's holding them for you or wherever they're locked away, don't be tempted to go grab them and try them on. Give yourself this week and the beginning of next week. So we have a really short-term goal of a week and a half to really make sure that things are dialed in. So if you haven't fully committed to the workouts, or if you haven't fully committed to the nutrition guidelines, this is the time to make those adjustments, because the genes will tell us next week how committed you've been to yourself. So just keep that in mind. We have a really short-term goal. Hopefully that's a little bit of a motivator this week to make sure that we dial everything in. Sound good? Pondering thoughts. All right.
I'm hungry and ready for lunch.
Yeah, it is. It's lunchtime here. Dinner time for you, Kathleen.
Yeah, I have a class.
You have another call.
An hour ago, so I'm going to hop on the last half hour of that. So and then we have leftover.
And then dinner.
So and then workout. Okay.
So tomorrow, Kathleen, your nutrition lesson will be in there. For you, Noelle, and everyone in Japan, it's in there today. So it's about 15.5 minutes. So it's a little quicker than last week's one. I'm going to try and keep it to that. And even if you watch it at 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed, it goes pretty quick.
And then if you guys last week's, yeah.
Go back and watch that one too.
Track whether, okay, I will.
Yes. And if you guys have questions after watching that lesson, go into the community chat and let's talk about it there that way, because you guys have a lot of great questions and a lot of them are similar to what other people are already pondering, or maybe they're afraid to ask. So go in there and type those in and we can have that conversation all together.
Where's Nola? Is she traveling or?
I don't know.
She just
find her.
Oh, Mike had a good
Message
talk
her
with
and
her
be like,
yesterday though. And Mike had a good talk to her yesterday. So
yeah, I know they were traveling.
Okay.
So That's my mom, Nola.
You know, I meant to ask you every single time that I work it out after I watched that video. I was like, is that
My mom.
You can see the
Maybe.
resemblance. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
She's Nola.
She's a great sister-in-law.
Well, I will let you guys go enjoy the rest of your day or your evening. And then let's keep this conversation going, and then we'll meet again in 2 weeks, right after we do our new measurements.
right?
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you guys. Keep doing great. You guys are doing
Yeah.
an awesome job.
Thank
Keep it up.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nice to
All
meet you.
right.
Hey, you too, Kathleen. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.